history doesn't just repeat itself, it rhymes. Across civilizations, empires, families, and individuals, there's a pattern that unfolds time and again. It's often summarized in this powerful quote: hard times create strong people create good times create weak people create hard times. This isn't just poetic, it's deeply revealing. Let's break it down. Hard times create strong people. Every great civilization has its origin in hardship. Whether it's the early settlers braving the unknown, ancient tribes fighting for survival, or entrepreneurs building something from nothing, adversity forces people to develop grit, discipline, and creativity. These are the times when survival is not guaranteed, so every skill, every resource, and every relationship is tested. It's in these moments that strong people emerge, not because they want to be strong, but because they have to be. Strong people create good times. As these individuals rise and lead, they begin to build. They establish institutions, create order, innovate new technologies, and lay the foundations for prosperity. The hard work and sacrifices of the strong lead to abundance, safety, and security. Their children and their children's children grow up in a world far better than the one their ancestors knew. There's less fear, more opportunity. Life becomes easier, more comfortable, and rightly so. This is the reward of strength and vision. Good times create weak people, but here's where the cycle takes a dangerous turn. Comfort, while a blessing, can quietly become a curse. When the struggle disappears, so too can the qualities that built the success in the first place. The new generations, having never faced true adversity, may grow up entitled, detached from the reality of sacrifice, or addicted to ease. They may take abundance for granted. Effort feels optional. Values like discipline, honor, and hard work can erode, replaced by convenience and short-term gratification. In this phase, strength is no longer admired, it's seen as outdated, and slowly, the very foundation of prosperity begins to crack. Weak people create hard times eventually. Weakness, moral, mental, or societal, leads to decline. Poor leadership, lack of resilience, and widespread apathy set the stage for failure. Economies collapse. Cultures decay. Security vanishes, and once again, the world becomes hard. And in those hard times, a new generation is forced to rise from the ashes. They become strong once again, and the cycle repeats. Conclusion: awareness is power. This cycle isn't inevitable, not if we recognize it. History is a teacher, and we are its students. If we understand where we are in the cycle, we can make conscious decisions to break it. We can choose strength even in good times. We can cultivate resilience, honor, and accountability, and in doing so, preserve the prosperity that was so hard. 1. History shows us the pattern. It's up to us to change the outcome. Comfort is one of the most desired achievements in human life. We work hard to earn it. We build entire societies around the idea of making life easier, more convenient, and more pleasurable. And in many ways, comfort is a reward, a sign of progress, peace, and prosperity. But what if too much comfort does more harm than good? History and psychology both warn us. When life becomes too easy, character often suffers. It's not the presence of comfort itself that's dangerous, it's what happens when comfort becomes the norm, and challenge is no longer required. The disappearance of struggle is not something we naturally enjoy. It's uncomfortable. It forces us to grow, to stretch, to fight through resistance, but it is exactly that process which builds character, resilience, patience, discipline, and strength. When comfort replaces struggle completely, those qualities begin to wither. There's no need to be patient if everything is instant. There's no need to work hard if things are handed to you. And without that need, people stop developing the emotional and mental muscles that hardship once built. In short, comfort can make us soft. Entitlement over gratitude in overly comfortable environments. Entitlement often replaces gratitude. Instead of being thankful for the opportunities and luxuries available, people begin to expect them. They believe they're owed an easy life, that difficulty is an injustice, not a part of growth. This mindset shift is dangerous. Entitlement breeds discontent, laziness, and a lack of personal responsibility. It turns people inward, focused only on their own convenience and blind to the sacrifices made by others to create that comfort. Disconnection from reality. When comfort is the constant, reality becomes distorted. Life begins to feel like a bubble, safe, predictable, and controlled. But the world outside that bubble is not always easy. It involves setbacks, uncertainty, loss, and effort. Those who grow up entirely in comfort often struggle to cope with real life challenges. Whether it's in relationships, careers, or health, any form of resistance can feel overwhelming simply because they've never had to face it before. This emotional fragility isn't a personal failure, it's the predictable result of never being tested. The illusion of progress comfort can also create the illusion that everything is fine even when it's not. People stop asking hard questions. They stop innovating. They become more interested in avoiding discomfort than pursuing purpose. And slowly, stagnation sets in culturally, intellectually, and spiritually. Societies that fall in love with comfort often lose their edge. They become vulnerable to external threats, internal corruption, and moral decay, not overnight, but gradually and quietly. The antidote: chosen discomfort. So what's the solution? It's not to reject comfort, but to balance it. To choose discomfort in small ways through discipline, challenge, service, and self-control. To remember that growth requires friction, and that character is not built in ease but in effort. Comfort can be a gift, but when it becomes a lifestyle without limits, it can slowly erode the very character that made it possible in the first place. Success is often seen as a destination, a finish line, a peak to conquer. People strive for it, dream about it, and sometimes sacrifice everything to reach it. But what many forget is this: achieving success is only half the battle. Keeping it is the real test. Success is not self-sustaining. Just like a well-built machine or a healthy body, it needs regular care, attention, and maintenance. Without it, success begins to erode, slowly, quietly, and eventually completely. Winning once isn't enough in sports. Winning a championship is an extraordinary achievement. But defending the title is often harder. Why? Because after victory, hunger fades, complacency creeps in, the edge dulls. The same applies in life. Whether it's a business, a relationship, a personal goal, or a reputation, once success is achieved, the temptation is to relax, to take your foot off the gas, to assume the hard part is over. But in truth, success invites new challenges, competition, higher expectations, envy, internal laziness, and the weight of sustaining what you've built. Those who rest too long at the top often get knocked off not by external forces, but by their own inaction. Complacency is the silent killer. The greatest threat to success is not failure, it's complacency. Complacency whispers, "You've done enough." It says, "You've earned a break." It convinces you that yesterday's effort is good enough for tomorrow's results. But success doesn't run on autopilot. The world changes, markets evolve, relationships require effort, skills fade without use. Complacency ignores all of this until it's too late. That's why the most successful people and organizations treat maintenance as non-negotiable. They continue learning, training, improving, and challenging themselves even when they don't have to, especially when they don't have to. The foundation must be strengthened. Think of success like a house. Building it is hard, but even after it's standing tall, it needs upkeep. The foundation must be checked, the roof maintained, the wiring inspected. Otherwise, time and neglect will wear it down, no matter how strong it once was. The same applies to any achievement. Whether it's a business empire, a happy marriage, a fit body, or a positive mindset, neglect will lead to decay, and the higher you've climbed, the more painful the fall. The mindset of lifelong discipline: true champions never stop training, true leaders never stop listening, true innovators never stop questioning. What sets them apart is not just that they succeeded, but that they remained committed to earning that success every day. Maintenance doesn't sound glamorous. It's not as exciting as the climb, but it is essential, because the world doesn't stay still, and neither should we. Conclusion: preserve what you've earned. Success is a blessing, but it's also a responsibility. It must be protected, nurtured, and re-earned continuously. The moment you stop maintaining it, you begin losing it, so don't just aim for success, prepare to sustain it. That's how greatness is not just reached but preserved. Complacency doesn't come with warning signs. It doesn't scream or demand attention. Instead, it whispers, everything's fine, you've done enough, you can relax now. It's quiet, comfortable, and dangerously deceptive. Complacency is the silent erosion of progress. It sets in when people, teams, or entire societies believe that their past success guarantees future safety. It lulls us into a false sense of security, making us blind to threats, lazy in our discipline, and slow to adapt. And that's why complacency breeds vulnerability not immediately, but inevitably. The illusion of stability when things are going well, it's easy to believe they always will. Success, peace, and comfort can create an illusion of permanence. But nothing in life stays still. Markets shift, competitors rise, relationships change, technology evolves, threats emerge where none existed before. Complacency is dangerous because it assumes the current good times are immune to change. It teaches us to coast when we should be preparing, learning, and strengthening our foundations. As a result, people and systems become fragile not because they're not strong, but because they stop reinforcing their strength. Blind spots and missed warnings. Complacency blinds us. It narrows our awareness and dulls our instincts. Warning signs of personal decline, team dysfunction, economic threats, or moral decay are ignored or downplayed. It's not that people don't see the signs, it's that they no longer believe those signs matter. By the time the consequences arrive, it's often too late. Vulnerability, once invisible, becomes exposed whether it's a failing company, a broken relationship, a deteriorating body, or a crumbling society. From sharp to soft, when people stop striving, they start slipping. Complacency softens the sharp edge of discipline. Habits weaken, standards drop, ambition fades. What was once hard-earned becomes taken for granted. This softening creates openings for disruption from competitors, from enemies, or from internal breakdown. The most successful empires in history didn't fall from outside invasion alone, they rotted from within, often due to arrogance, laziness, or misplaced trust in their own invincibility. Leadership and complacency leaders, especially, must watch for complacency. When a leader grows content, the culture beneath them follows. Organizations that once thrived on innovation begin recycling old ideas. Teams that once pushed boundaries now avoid risks. Vision fades into routine. The most effective leaders keep urgency alive, not panic, but focus. They recognize that staying ahead requires staying alert. The cure, humility and hunger, the antidote to complacency, is a mindset of humble vigilance, the understanding that no success is final and no challenge is beneath you. It's the hunger to keep learning, growing, and improving even when you're on top. Choosing to stay sharp when you don't have to is what separates those who endure from those who fade. Conclusion, always be building. Complacency feels safe, but it quietly opens the door to decline. True strength is not just about achieving success, but about maintaining the mindset that earned it. Stay aware, stay hungry, keep building, because the moment you think you've made it is the moment you become most vulnerable. History shows us a repeating cycle. Hard times create strong people create good times create weak people create hard times. At first glance, this may seem like a doomed loop, an unbreakable chain where prosperity always leads to decline. But here's the truth that gives us hope. The cycle isn't destiny, it's a warning, and warnings exist so we can change course. We can break the cycle if we're willing to see where we are in it and make deliberate choices to stay strong, even when times are easy. Strength is not just a reaction, it can be a decision in the past. People became strong because they had no choice. War, poverty, oppression, or survival pushed them beyond comfort and into courage. But today, especially in times of abundance and peace, we rarely face those same pressures. Yet that doesn't mean we have to become soft. Strength doesn't only come from pain, it can also come from purpose. We don't need chaos to become disciplined. We can choose to challenge ourselves. We can train our bodies, sharpen our minds, build resilience, and raise our standards even when life feels easy. This is intentional strength, the kind that doesn't wait for disaster to strike before preparing. Raising the next generation with vision. Breaking the cycle starts with how we raise the next generation. When kids grow up surrounded by comfort, there's a real risk they won't learn the values that created that comfort in the first place: sacrifice, effort, gratitude, and humility. It's not about making life hard for them, it's about teaching them how to respond to difficulty. It's about showing them that struggle isn't something to avoid, but something to learn from. We must raise strong minds, not just safe environments. Discipline, service, work ethic, and emotional resilience, these must be taught on purpose, not through trauma, but through leadership. Choose challenge before challenge chooses you. One of the most powerful ways to break the cycle is by voluntarily stepping outside your comfort zone. Train physically, learn difficult skills, take on responsibilities that scare you, confront your weaknesses instead of hiding from them. When we choose challenge, we grow strong on purpose without needing a crisis to force us into it. Because if we don't choose to grow, life will eventually choose it for us, and the lesson will be much harder. Collective change begins with personal responsibility. We often look to leaders, systems, or governments to fix the world. But cycles like this are broken at the individual level. A family that values work and integrity, a community that rewards truth over ease, a generation that rejects apathy in favor of action. It starts with us. Conclusion: the cycle is a warning, not a fate. Yes, history shows that good times can lead to weakness, but that's not the whole story. If we remain vigilant, humble, and willing to do the hard work even in easy times, we can create a new cycle, one where strength, wisdom, and prosperity coexist. The past doesn't have to be our future. We can break the cycle, and it starts now. When we hear the word leadership, we often think of presidents, CEO, or people in positions of authority. But true leadership isn't about a title or a podium, it's about action. It's about influence. It's about who we choose to be, how we show up, and how we impact those around us. And that means one powerful truth: leadership starts with us, not tomorrow, not when we're promoted, not when someone gives us permission, right now, right where we are. Leadership is not a position, it's a mindset. You don't need a corner office or a huge following to be a leader. Leadership is about the choices you make when no one's watching. It's about doing the right thing when it's inconvenient. It's about setting a standard for yourself first and then for others. You lead when you take responsibility. You lead when you hold yourself accountable. You lead when you choose growth over comfort. Waiting for someone else to take charge is easy, but real change in your life, in your family, in your community starts when you decide to step up. The ripple effect of personal integrity: every action you take sends a message. Every time you show discipline, kindness, or courage, you give others permission to do the same. This is how leadership spreads, not through speeches, but through example. If you want your workplace to be more respectful, be the one who leads with respect. If you want your home to be more loving, be the one who leads with love. If you want your peers to be more accountable, start by holding yourself to a higher standard. You don't need a crowd behind you to be a leader. You just need the courage to go first. In times of uncertainty, leaders rise. Every era faces its own challenges. In uncertain or unstable times, people look for direction. But they're not just looking for commands, they're looking for someone who is calm under pressure, consistent in character, and strong enough to carry responsibility. That someone can be you. You don't have to have all the answers. Leadership is not about perfection, it's about presence. It's about showing up, listening, learning, and taking initiative. The world doesn't need more critics, it needs more leaders, and leadership isn't out there, it's in here. Teach it, live it, pass it on. The most powerful leaders don't just lead for a moment, they build other leaders. They teach by example, raise the next generation with values, and leave behind a legacy of strength and service. Whether you're a parent, a student, an employee, or an entrepreneur, someone is watching you. Let them see what real leadership looks like. Conclusion: the leader is you. The world changes when individuals choose to lead from within. Not with ego, but with purpose. Not waiting for orders, but creating momentum. Leadership starts with us, with our choices, our courage, and our commitment to something bigger than ourselves. You are already a leader.
Now act like it.